Alrighty folks, thanks for clicking on this video. James Cards FC here. It's been a while, so I apologize if I'm a little rusty, and I apologize for taking a bit of a break, but I am back today with some more soccer card content. If you're new to the channel, or if you forget what this channel is about, I talk about soccer card market from a financial / collecting side, more leaning into the finances, but we'll go through some collecting and financial talk today, as I'm going to be talking about what I've been buying and selling in the market since I did my last video about a month and a half ago, I believe. So despite not doing videos and taking some time off there, I'm definitely just as active as ever in the market itself. I just haven't been making videos about what I've been doing in the market, so I figured I would go ahead and do a recap today of sort of what I've been buying to collect, what I've been buying to sell, what I've been selling, my basic thoughts on the market, and all that sort of stuff as a refresher into what I've been up to and what my thoughts are on the current market. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started here with let me move myself. Gotta get used to these presentations again. A quick overview on market thoughts. So the market on most players continues to slowly slide down towards the early 2020 prices that we saw. As a refresher, the soccer card market really didn't exist prior to 2020. Then COVID happened and people started getting into a lot of sports card markets, and soccer was one of those markets they got into, and soccer continues to grow in other markets besides the United States. But a lot of the people that enter the market in 2020, 2021, and 2022 have been exiting the market ever since, as prices continue to fall back to their normal prices that were around early 2020 or late 2019. So with that being said, the market on most players continues to slowly slide down toward their early 2020 prices. A random notice here I was looking at just selling history of certain cards, and it caught my eye what a Pedri Sapphire PSA 9 was selling for, a rookie card for Pedri, one of his more premier rookie base cards. It only sells for like $15 to $20, which blew my mind considering it cost around $20 just to be able to grade it. So if you bought the card for $15, $20, graded it for $20, you're going to be down 50% just if you get a PSA 9. So seeing that, I was very surprised, but I guess since the market itself is going down, base cards are probably the least wanted of all the cards out there, so it makes sense that those are dropping. But from this, I've inferred that base cards from 2020 and onward, including the base Sapphire cards, are not even worth grading at this point, considering the math just doesn't work out. And my question would be, how much lower can these really go? Like a Pedri PSA 9 going for $15 to $20 doesn't seem like there's a lot of downside there. Now, there are still probably a few of them that need to get graded that are out there in raw condition that could get PSA 9s. But considering the slab itself costs around $20, I don't really know how much more room there is on those to drop. I wouldn't be grading them, probably wouldn't be buying them, but just something that caught my eye in terms of pricing. Third point here, I don't believe it's currently viable to buy top modern players in hopes of their prices increasing in the short or midterm. I noticed that Erling Haaland obviously is having the season of his life, season for the ages, historic season, and his prices are pretty stagnant outside of his rookie sticker. I believe is up maybe 20 or 30% over the past 6 months or so. But I noted here that this Sapphire card in PSA 10, which is one of his go-to in terms of rookie base cards, is down 7%. Since May of last year, and so a full year of holding Haaland, one of his more premier base cards in PSA 10 condition, has actually dropped 7% despite his performance. So what more can he really do to increase his prices or to really juice up his market? I don't really know. And so from that perspective, I don't really know what the play is in terms of buying a Haaland card like this Sapphire base, or even his sticker, even though his sticker has gone up 20 or 30% over the past few months. What really is the catalyst for that to continue to go up in a down market like this? I'm just not sure, so I'm personally avoiding those players in the market. Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, those would be the most expensive of the guys that I really wouldn't be interested in right now, but yeah, just not sure what to make of their markets at this point. So fourth bullet point here, the play for modern active players is to buy players with limited expectations that they could possibly exceed. I've talked about this in many videos before, and I'll continue to talk about it because this is the way I think I'm not going to say you should be, but I think it's probably the most efficient way to play the modern or active player side of the market, at least based on what we understand about the market right now. So your do's with this strategy would be to buy low on a guy like Julio Enciso, who I talked about a million times before on this channel. Well, maybe not a million, but 3 or 4 times I talked about him before he blew up. And then he explodes. You got to hope he explodes and then sell immediately if he does. And the do not side of this would be to buy high on Haaland and hope he scores 100 goals and his price is double or triple. That's just not something we're seeing. So it just makes more sense from my perspective. If you want to gamble on the ultra modern guys, gamble on the guys that actually do have upside, like Julio Enciso does. Bullet point here in smaller font, I was 100% right on Julio Enciso, but of course I never got around to buying any of his cards, and I wouldn't be buying them now because the expectations are already priced in. But if you watched my videos a few months ago, and for whatever reason you trusted me on Julio Enciso when I talked about him a few times and you bought his cards, you probably did extremely well, and I would be selling them right now because the returns are probably really, really good. So that's my read on the ultra modern side of the market right now. In the more past side of the market with the vintage and pre-modern type stuff of non-active players, it seems to be a great time to buy collection cards for lower prices and possibly a good entry point if you have a long-term hold view on GOAT/key cards. I'm talking about cards of Pele, cards of Maradona, cards of Lionel Messi, cards of Cristiano Ronaldo, and a few other GOATs like that, Cruyff, guys like that. If you have a long-term view and you want to hold these cards for a long time, now is definitely a much better time to be going after those pieces than a couple years ago or even 6 months ago. So as the prices on those continue to go down, if you have a long enough time horizon, I do think that now might present a good opportunity. And of course, as the prices of ultramodern cards keep going down, it's a great time to pick up collection pieces. Like if a patch auto comes out for, I don't know, who's a random favorite player somebody might have, like Leroy Sané, for example. If you really like watching Leroy Sané play football, you can get some really nice Leroy Sané cards for really, really cheap right now and make a nice Leroy Sané collection. Even if you want to go back a little further, I've thought about this in the past, but if you wanted to be the best Iker Casillas collector or the best Manuel Neuer collector, you could put together a crazy goalkeeper GOAT collection, and it would not cost very much. So right now it seems like a great time to be buying collection cards, especially in comparison to previous years, but could they continue to go down? Of course, but a lot of that stuff is just really, really cheap right now, and I'm not sure how much more room it has to go down, but of course, things could obviously continue to go down. And the very final point of my quick overview on the market, I'm having a lot of fun with raw to grade right now. I've talked about this strategy a million times before again on this channel, seeking out raw cards, grading them, and then selling them back onto the market and using that to either buy more raw cards or go after pieces for my collection or long-term holds is the strategy that I like to deploy mostly in this market, and I've been having a lot of fun doing that this year, mostly because I think it makes a lot of sense right now to be grading. PSA is $19 to grade right now at the bulk level, and you get it back within a month or 2 months, and I really like those time windows, and I think there's a lot of opportunity doing that sort of raw to grade activity. So with all of that high-level strategy out of the way, I'm going to go forward with my recent sells, and these will be cards that I have been raw to grading. Just a few examples. I'm not going to take you through all the cards I've bought and sold over the past few months, but just some general examples to talk about what I've been doing and my thoughts on these things. So I've talked about this before, but the James Cards FC strategy for selling cards is to buy raw cards of in-demand players, send them to PSA if gradable, and then sell them back on the market if they're not. So if I get a card in hand and I think it's going to get a PSA 8 or lower, I'll just go ahead and sell it back raw. If I think I can get a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, hopefully, then I'll send it off to PSA. So after the cards get graded, send the PSA graded slabs out to consignment. I like to use Probstein, I like to use DC Sports 87, and I may start using Golden as well in the future to do some selling, but I'll talk about that more probably in another video here in a few days after this one. So with all that out of the way, that's the James Cards FC strategy for selling cards. Let's talk about some of those recent sales that I've made. So on the far left, we have a really good sale here. This was a 2014 Panini Prizm World Cup Cristiano Ronaldo Cup Captains Insert Red out of 149. This is a really in-demand card for Ronaldo because it's a color match. It's from a super key set, and it's numbered out of 149, and it got a PSA 10. So I bought this card raw for $282. I graded it with PSA for $19 bulk. The sale price that I got for it, minus the fees I had to give the consignment, netted me out $788.40. So the ROI calculation leaves me with 162% return on investment for this entire transaction of this card from raw to grade to full sale. I ROI'd 162% on that one card. Now, it is unusual to do this well on a single card, and as you'll see as we go through another few examples, not all of them are going to be big winners like this. So another example would be this Lionel Messi 2022 World Cup Qatar sticker, the blue variation that you can find in the USA version of the packs. These are not numbered, but they are shorter print than just the normal gray back white stickers. So I picked this up. I thought I could get a 9 or a 10. I thought a 9 would be good enough because I figured these were rare enough and in demand enough that people would want them, but it turns out I misjudged this and people don't really set high demand for this sticker. So I bought it for $20 raw, graded it with PSA for $19. My final sale, minus the fees and consignment, was $36.55, and I ROI'd negative 6% on this sticker, so I lost money on that one. And the lesson I learned basically was to start avoiding those stickers, as they're not as in demand as I thought they would be. And the fact that I couldn't get a PSA 10 on it, and it's so hard to get a PSA 10 on it, probably doesn't mean that's something you want to target for raw to grade. Then we'll move on to this Tyler Adams World Cup Mosaic Black Gold Choice. This is an autographed card numbered out of 8 of Tyler Adams. He's the United States men's national team captain, and he plays center defense mid. I bought this raw for $74, graded it with PSA for $19, and my sale minus fees was $47.60, and so I ROI'd minus 49% on this one. Why was this one a mistake? Why did I lose so much money on it? Because I really targeted a player that isn't all that in demand in the market. That was more of an emotional pick, I guess, thinking that people would be into the U.S. men's national team as much as I am. But Tyler Adams is sort of a fringe player if you're really in this market. He's a center defensive mid, so what's really the upside there? It's a parallel from a set that's not that in demand. Black and gold choice is numbered out of 8. It's kind of weird. It's not a gold. So there's a lot of things working against me here. I wouldn't grade this card knowing what I know now. And obviously you can see I took a loss on that, and I'm going to learn from that and not submit a card like that in the future. I'm going to take a break for a second. My dog has decided to eat her dinner over there, and so I'll be back in just a few seconds. Okay, let's get through this slide. So the last one I wanted to talk about here is this Mitoma rookie that I bought from Japan, and it ended up getting a PSA 10. I actually bought 3 of these, and all of them got PSA 10s, and they all sold for around the same price, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the one of them that I sold first. But just know that I bought 3 of them, all for the same price, and they all sold for around the same price. So the reason I bought this was because I bought this when Mitoma was sort of in the middle of his big run with Brighton. He was getting in a lot of headlines. He was scoring a bunch of goals. People were really talking about him. And so I went out into the market and I looked in the Japanese market and found that he had this rookie from Epoch, which is a set in Japan that comes out way before any of his 2022 rookies that he has that have been released in the United States and Europe. So I went out and I bought 3 of them for $30 each raw. I thought that was a good price considering in PSA 10 I thought they could get probably above $100 in a PSA 10, even in a PSA 9. I figured I would probably be able to break even, and so that scenario ended up turning out really well for me, getting PSA 10s on all 3 of the ones I submitted. I bought each of them for $30. PSA grading fee was $19 per card, and then the sales minus fees on this one in particular was $185.47, which is an ROI on this individual card of 279%. So as you can see through these 4 examples, what you're really trying to do is just try and target in-demand cards or cards that you think will be in demand, and hopefully the ones that you win on will offset the ones that you end up losing on. So these are just some examples of my recent sells. Definitely not all of them, but just a few that I wanted to highlight for sort of my thoughts on what I was grading at the time. Then we'll move forward into my recent buys with intention of holding. I'll go ahead and move my camera so it looks a bit nicer there, but yeah, these are my recent buys with intention of holding. So the James Cards FC strategy for buying cards to hold would be to use the money generated from raw to grade only, which stops me from over leveraging. I don't use any money that is brought in from like my normal job or anything like that. I'm just strictly using money that I have for cards, and so when I do raw to grade and I end up with a profit at the end of it, I will put that back into my pool to be able to buy more cards, so that I keep all my finances separate on what I'm doing from cards with what I'm doing for like other stuff in life, so that I don't over leverage myself. So apart from that, no real rules. I'm just buying what I think makes sense for me and my collecting / investing / gambling journey that I'm on in the sports card market. So let's go through a few of my recent pickups here. So on the far left, we have this Tyler Adams PSA 8 2020 Topps Chrome Match Tax Superfractor 1 of 1. I actually bought this raw and then put it in one of my bulk PSA submissions, and it got an 8. I'm not worried about that. The grade doesn't really matter on a 1 of 1, and especially like a Match Attacks 1 of 1. So happy to get an 8 there, and happy to just have this card. It's a super unique and early card for the United States men's national team captain, so it's one that I really wanted to have in my collection. Unlike this other one, I'm going to go back one slide real quick. This Howard Adams, I really don't care that much about. It's out of 8. It's kind of ugly in my opinion. I don't really like sticker autos, so I was just buying that more to sell and to hope somebody else liked it more than I did. As opposed to this is one I really like. It's an early card for him. It's Super Fracture. It looks really cool, and I really like that card just for a collecting perspective for myself. So that one is one that I plan on keeping for a pretty long while, at least until 2026 and probably beyond, because he's going to be our captain, assuming for a while. Next to that, we have this Xavi. I've talked about this on Instagram. I'm not sure if I talked about it in a video, but this comes from the 2003-2004 Panini Liga Mega Feature set that was released in Japan. This was a super short print insert in the set. It was numbered out of 25. Xavi has one, Ronaldinho has one, Puyol has one, and then a couple other Barcelona players have these as well. It is a foil refractor card with a worn patch. It doesn't say if it's match worn or event worn or anything like that. It just says a worn patch and then the on-card silver auto that is actually signed, and it comes out of the pack like that. It's not signed afterwards, so yeah, they're all in silver ink like that, and they look really nice. So I picked this up in China. Actually, it came up on public auction. I never see these come up on public auction, so when it did come up, I had to sell some things to go ahead and fund this, but it was one that I definitely wasn't going to let get away from me. So this is a dream card that I've hunted for years. I'm really looking for the Ronaldinho one. I assume someday it'll come up on public auction, and I'll have to spend way more than I did on this Xavi one, but when that day comes, I'm going to have to sell some of my collection to be able to afford that. But yeah, I'm happy to pick up the Xavi for now, and hopefully someday I'll be able to pair it with the Ronaldinho from that same set. So, moving on from that, I picked up this 2019 Topps Chrome Bundesliga Giovanni Reyna rookie gold refractor from Topps Chrome in PSA 9 condition. Reyna numbered rookies are in diamond hands at this point. It's really hard to be able to buy these. People don't really run them on auction very often, and the buy it nows for them are set really high because they're in a lot of American collectors' hands, and American collectors don't really want to sell Gio Reyna right now, considering he's probably going to be our best player heading into 2026. So when this one came up on auction, I believe in China, I thought I was able to get a really good deal on it, and I was happy to finally add a numbered Reyna card to my collection from this Topps Chrome rookie year. Reyna does not have a lot of rookie cards, so being able to pick up this one in probably my favorite colorway, which is the gold, it matches the kid, and people love gold like myself, so happy to finally pick that one up for my collection / investing / gambling journey that I'm on with the United States men's national team. And then on the far right, probably nothing anybody really cares about that watches this channel. I picked up this Muntake Murakami Chrome Gold Refractor. I bought it raw from Japan and graded in PSA 10 condition, so super happy about that result. He's a key Japanese baseball prospect right now. He's probably the best player in Japan right now, even though he's having a struggling start to this year. Last year, he actually set the league record for home runs in a season in Japan, and he's likely to be coming to the United States here within the next couple years to play in Major League Baseball. So a lot of things going well for this card heading into the future, and so I'm happy to have gotten in on this pretty low on a raw price, graded PSA 10, and then hold it for a few years and wait till he makes that move to the Major League Baseball, and then sell that back into the market potentially for a nice profit here in a few years. So these are just some examples of my buys with intention of holding, the reasoning behind them, and sort of my plans for all those cards. Alrighty, and then with that, we'll move into the final conclusion today. Might have gone a bit longer than I actually thought I would, but I wanted to get some thoughts out there that I had in my head over time. So, in conclusion, like I've said many times, there's no more easy money in this market. Even buying Haaland before his all-time great season did not provide good returns. I'll probably do a more in-depth discussion on this, but my basic read on the current market is as follows. 1, you cannot buy any retired players, current GOATs, or future GOATs and expect them to increase in the short term. Future GOATs would be Haaland and Mbappe. Too much is already priced in on all these guys, and you're depending on new money entering the soccer card market, and that's not looking likely in this current economy unless something really shifts here in the short or mid term, and at least from where I sit today, I don't see that happening. If you want to play the short-term market, the target is to buy players who have yet to explode, and that's a high-risk, high-reward game. You're looking for somebody with very low expectations, preferably a very low number of rookie cards, and you're hoping that they explode and you can reap a nice return on those. That's how I would be playing the short-term ultra-modern market if you wanted to play the short-term ultra-modern market. Flipping Rotigrade, etc. Those types of strategies are still viable, but the windows of opportunity are much smaller than they have been in previous years. In terms of Rotigrade, you need to be hitting 10s in grading, whereas in 2021 or 2022, you could be okay getting 9s. You would still profit on 9s, but now you're likely to take a slight loss on 9s, and hopefully on 10s you make up for the losses that you incurred with the 9s. So Rotigrade, if you're doing it right, is still viable in my opinion, but you have to be hitting 10s, and your margins are a lot smaller than they used to be. And then with flipping, you need to be extremely fast with it, work at small margins, and have a nice selling network. So if you watch on YouTube the guys like Card Collector 2, or you watch Justin Gamble, or anybody that does these card show vlog type videos, they're literally just looking to buy cards at 60% and then sell them within a few hours or a day at 80% and make a 20% return. They're not doing anything special. They're just working in margins with a lot of volume and having a big selling network. So they're able to do things like that. Anybody could do it, but you're going to have to be really quick with it. You got to work at small margins, and you have to have a selling network to do it with. So that's what's going on with those guys. You can still do it, but you need to have these things set in place. You need to be able to work fast, you need to be able to work at small margins, and you have to have a big selling network to get these cards out to. So with all that out of the way, if you have a long-term view of the soccer card market, I still very much believe that the population reports are too low for the potential demand on key cards of GOAT level players. This would be key Pele cards, key Maradona cards, key Messi cards, key Cruyff cards, key Ronaldo cards, key Zidane cards, key any cards for the all-time greats. The pops are just too low on those for the potential demand in the future, in my opinion. And if you have a really long-term view on the market, like I've said ever since the inception of this channel, I think those are good plays as long as you're okay with waiting and waiting and waiting, because I don't think that's going to happen overnight. And like I say here, don't expect to get rich overnight or at all. More than anything, I think these are really nice collector's pieces to have that I think in the future might be really hard to acquire just because of how few there are. For example, Maradona rookies, there's how many graded by PSA? 50 or 100? Even if the pop goes up to 200, that could be a really hard card to be able to find in the future. No matter what the value ends up being for it, that's just a really historic item that might be hard to find. As I have to mute my phone real quick, I apologize. Whew, okay. Where was I? I was wrapping up. Anyways, those are my thoughts for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I think I'm doing a live stream video maybe by the time this is up with Soccer Study and maybe a few other people on his channel. So look forward to that if you haven't seen it already. And then later this week, I plan on releasing a video where I talk about a PSA submission that I got back, going through inventory, how I sort things, and all that sort of stuff. So giving you guys more of a look in on how I'm participating in the market as opposed to more of the theory-based content that I've done in the past. That'll probably come back in the future as I get the passion back to do that. But I wanted to just give you guys a quick update on what my thoughts are on the market and what I've been up to. So as always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video.